Hey YouTube, Dick6044 here. Just wanted to do another quick video on another topic that I've been thinking about and studying on quite a bit. And that is a bug out weapon, more specifically a firearm. I have quite a few in my arsenal, if you will. And I've debated a lot on, you know, if I had to grab one and get out of there, and that was to keep me and my family safe and fed and all that, what would I grab? And my future plans are to have the majority of my firearms at my bug out location. For those of you that don't know, my bug out location is where I hunt, fish, everything else. For the most part, I don't need my guns on a daily basis unless I'm hunting, and so keeping them up there, aside from SHTF or bug out situation, keeping them up there is just more practical for me as far as day-to-day life is concerned. I just don't have a fireproof safe up there, and until I do, I'm not going to bring my weapons up there. It's a lot of money to just leave there unprotected. So long term, hopefully that won't be a problem for me. I will just need one or two good firearms to get me and my family safely to where I'm going. And ideally, I will be able to bug out in my bug out vehicle, not on foot. But just something for people to think about that are also struggling with this decision. I put together a little chart that shows weight of ammunition, because that's very good thing to consider. And I'm leaning towards my 22, mostly because I have a Ruger 1022. I've got a like a 10 power scope on it. It's got a bipod. It is a tack driver. It's pinpoint accurate up out to 100 yards, probably more. I've just never really had the opportunity. So for one, that's turn on number one there for my 22. I know it's accurate. It's a Ruger 1022. It's going to go bang every time. I don't have to worry about it. Parts are abundant. I can get rebuild kits for it, keep on hand. You know, firing pins, extractors, things like that. You can carry a ton of 22 ammo, and that's my selling point. Just for reference, 100 pounds of standard 36 grain 22 ammunition weighs 0.7 pounds, 7/10 of a pound. So you translate that up, 1,000 rounds is 7 pounds. That's not a lot of weight for 1,000 pounds of ammo. That's really pretty good. Just to kind of compare, a lot of people I know are going with the idea of having a small carbine and a sidearm that shoots the same caliber, and that's a good idea, a really good idea in theory. You know, you stockpile one caliber of ammunition and you've got multiple platforms to fire that ammunition from. My brother, for instance, has the Beretta Storm in 40 caliber. He also has a 40 caliber handgun. 40 caliber ammo is heavy. 100 rounds weighs 3.6 pounds. So translate that out to 1,000 rounds. That's 36 pounds as opposed to the 22's 7 pounds. It's actually 36.3 pounds. So you're talking about almost a 30-pound difference in 1,000 rounds of ammo. That's huge if you're bugging out on foot. That'll make or break you. Some of the smaller rounds, people will probably be a little surprised at too. 100 rounds of 5.56 ammo or 223 is 2.5 pounds for 100 rounds. So you translate that out to 1,000 rounds, that's 25 pounds of ammo for 1,000 rounds. That's substantially less than the 40, over 10 pounds, but that's a lot more than the 22's 7 pounds for 1,000 rounds. 7.62 by 39, standard AK ammunition. It's more than the 223. For 100 rounds, it's 3.6 pounds, so 36 pounds for 1,000 rounds. That's about as much as the 40, a little bit less than the 40, just by a matter of a few tenths of a pound. So that's also, pretty heavy. And 12 gauge is pretty much out of the question. 1,000 rounds of 12 gauge ammunition, standard military buckshot, you're looking at close to 100 pounds. About 95 pounds for 1,000 rounds of 12 gauge buckshot. Nobody can carry an extra 100 pounds. Nobody's got room for an extra 100 pounds if you're on foot. So, in my opinion, that's kind of out of the question. But as far as getting things done with a 22, if that's the route you decide to go, for an extra 7 pounds, you can carry an extra 1,000 rounds of ammunition. And like I said, that's huge. Hopefully, if I'm just bugging out on foot, I won't need 1,000 rounds of ammo. I mean, theoretically, that's not what you want to have to worry about. If your bug out route takes you somewhere where you need 1,000 rounds of ammo, I would reconsider your game plan altogether. Nevertheless, on a smaller scale, 100 rounds is less than a pound, 7/10 of a pound. 100 rounds would not be a bad idea to have on hand, period. It's a small enough caliber that if you want to shoot a rabbit or a squirrel or a bird, you're not going to totally mutilate it and not have any meat to eat off of it. It's powerful enough that if you need to take out a white-tailed deer, people may have their own opinions. I might get ridiculed for this, but you can hunt with a 22. Hunt pretty good size game. It is illegal. I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying in a SHTF situation, I know plenty of hillbillies around where I live and grew up that's what they do. They poach deer with 22s. They're not very loud, and it's all about shot placement. One good shot in the neck, they're going down. Yes, you don't have good shot placement, you might have to trail it. It might take more than one round, but you can bring down just about any game in my area with a 22. Same goes for people. If it comes down to a defense type situation, there, thousands of people killed all the time with 22s. It happens. It's very, very capable of that. It's also not very loud. If you do need to go out and get some food for your family and you don't want to raise any red flags, if in a heavily wooded area, it's not going to carry that far. It's not like shooting off a 30-06 or even a 223. So I'm leaning more towards that. I have a good platform to shoot 22. I have several platforms, actually. I've got other 22 rifles. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. And the ammo's cheap. I've got probably over 2,500 rounds of ammo for my 22. And it hadn't put me in the poorhouse yet. I just buy some every time I go to the store. I mean, a small box of 50s, somewhere between $2 and $3, depending on what brand you get. So that's just a little food for thought. I'm just curious as to what everybody else is planning on carrying. I will also be carrying my Glock 10mm with me. I'm usually never too far from that. The weapon itself is not very heavy, but 10mm ammunition is extremely heavy, a lot more than the 40 caliber. And in this little chart I made, 40 caliber is definitely the heaviest, not counting the 12 gauge. And 10mm is a little bit heavier than that. So that's not very practical. But I have 4 15-round magazines. So to be able to have 60 rounds on hand, preloaded in magazines, that's, the 10mm is quite a bit of firepower. So I will carry that as well, strapped to my side. But just as far as a rifle, something to defend my family with or hunt, whatever, I'm leaning more towards the 22. So Tell me what y'all think. Make a video about your bug out weapon. Y'all have a good one.